hit record.
Welcome to the Higgnz Lounge.
This is episode 19.
You see you counting?
I think so. But anyway.
Well, welcome to the Higgnz Lounge.
It's like, what should we talk about? I don't know.
Oh, man.
And then this story broke yesterday, or 2 days ago, that actually hits close to home. And you actually knew this, the guy that the victim of this story that actually predates back to 3 weeks before Hurricane Katrina. It was like August 5th, 2005. Katrina was August 29th.
So we're jumping right into this.
If that's what you want to do. I mean, we could talk about Dr. Seuss getting canceled.
I want to see the cut first. I mean, I like it.
Oh, man. Dr. Seuss. Horton Hears a Who. Damn, bro.
Dr. Seuss got canceled, dude, not because of racist comments, like racist visuals. It was because the stories were anti-racist, bro. There's stories in there that actually teach you, like one of the books that got canceled, because it was 6 of them, is actually a story. Remember the ones with the stars on that? The little guys with the stars on that shirt. I forgot the name of them.
Now the star-belly sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain belly sneetches had none upon theirs.
No.
All right, so they have these characters he made up, and they have these stars on their shirt, on their body, and the other ones don't have stars on their body, right? So it's like two different. You look at it as like two different races of people. Well, something happens in the story where the other ones get stars, and the ones that had the stars on their body felt superior, right? Because they had the stars on their body,
okay,
or something like that, or they were looked at superior. Well, the somewhere in the story, the other ones get the stars on their body, and then basically the end of the story, the key to the story is that everyone is equal. Everyone is created the same, no matter what we look like on the outside. We're all the same on the inside. Was the message in the story that got canceled.
I'm quite happy to say that the sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that sneetches are sneetches, and no kind of sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day, all the sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs.
If anything, that particular story should be told today.
But we're not all equal. That's the thing. There's a hierarchy, and we humans create a hierarchy, bro. We're
right, and that's who's in control of this bullshit here. This is how it's a good
segue to go into what we're talking about today.
But what I'm getting at is it's not you're saying that people are different, but it's not race that makes them different. It's classism.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
There's a division of classism. It's about the rich and the poor. It's not
the money
about
and the power.
So what they do is,
it's whoever has the most money and the most power wins, bro. That's it. That's what it is.
Well, people react to things that they can see, not hear, you know what I'm saying? So it's easy for a hierarchy to make people who look different fight with each other.
Things aren't quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who, and that's perfectly true. But come on with me, friends, and I'll show you what I'll do. I'll make you again the best sneetches on the beaches, and all it's gonna cost you is $10 each.
The media wants to make it look like one race is literally jumping in a car and headhunting another race every day, all day. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll take one case and make it sound like it's happening every day, all day around the country. And it's not the case. There's more race, like, would be what you would say black on black crime or white on white crime or brown on brown crime, yellow on, because they spend way more time together.
I'm getting really sick of you. Go now.
On that note, this is a story about white on white crime. Damn.
Yeah,
I gotta laugh. You gotta laugh at trauma and tragedy it's been abound in me and Higgnz' lives, unfortunately, living in this place where we grew up. Joey was a casualty of the pitfalls presented to you in this life in general. We a small example. We right outside of New Orleans. We grew up, 5 miles, 10 miles from the French Quarter in a fishing community, basically. It was just all sugar plantations up until the early 1900s. So recently developed suburbia is the best description, with an old history of fishermen.
Well, I'm gonna take my boat to the hotel road.
Down the road, right? I don't want to butcher this shit up.
Name's Butcher. Billy Butcher.
But it's more considered, the way New Orleans works is it's such a small city that everything is only a few minutes away from each other. And so, but also all the surrounding areas around New Orleans are only a few minutes away from the city. So they kind of, they call it like New Orleans metropolitan area. They kind of consider all the surrounding parishes and cities around New Orleans to be part of New Orleans in a sense, because they all eat off of, the commerce.
The vibrations of a party town, a center for revelry and debauchery, it has wavelengths, and we get consumed by the wavelengths affect our community, the people around us, and the things that happen in that city.
Right.
There's like a domino effect.
Everybody knows about playing with dominoes, but what you may not know is that a domino can knock over another domino, which is about 1.5 times larger. And the smallest domino is about 5 millimeters high and 1 millimeter thick. And I will carefully place it.
It's a frequency. It's a fucked up tune, man. People down here singing a fucked up tune, man. That's right. Basically the best way I could say it. Joey got involved in the same shit. We were all involved in at all different kinds of degrees at his time in his life. At the time he died, I was in the Navy when he died. That was just before Katrina. So I was trying to get myself on the right path. I knew what way things. He was born, same year as me, class of '99, bro. Generation X millennials, whatever you want to call us. We were that generation, bro. Graduated in '99. So he was one of us, man. We doing this shit for him just because he was one of us. I kicked it with him a little bit. But I didn't know him when all this stuff went down. And there is a federal investigation. Higgnz let me know. This is just a story that's been on our local news recently. And yeah, 2005, right before Katrina. So it kind of got swept under the rug and forgot about. And now the case is being reopened.
Right.
Investigators have a lot of questions surrounding the timeline of the 2005 death of Joey Georgousis, a death which is now at the center of a federal investigation.
So we have our local investigative reporter for the local Fox channel does investigations, and he'll dig into just certain cases like corruption that's going on within the government.
From that suit, we've reviewed nearly 30 hours of video depositions with questions asked by Georgousis' attorney. We also inspected thousands of pages of documents related to the case and spoke to more than 20 people on and off the record.
Well, 2 days ago, Monday of this week.
Monday, yeah. What's the date? Let's give a point of reference. What is our date?
Today is the 4th.
All right, Thursday, March 4th. So Monday, this time.
Like the 1st. It was like the 1st.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, still.
Boom, comes out.
Wife's like, did you see that that thing on the news about the sheriff's office like covering up crime? And I'm like, and I'm thinking about the sheriff's office as a whole. I'm not thinking about one case the way she mentioned it to me. I was like, well, yeah, they've been doing that shit for years,
Right.
They've been here covering up crime to make. And the reason why I say that is because they lower the numbers because their slogan is to keep the place safe. You understand what I'm saying? So they try to, so anything that they can sweep under the rug for statistical reasons and for reputation reasons, they'll do it. Just, I don't want this to get out to the public, or this is someone that is connected
changing the whole narrative of what actually happened. This isn't the first time somebody we grew up with was part of the same generation with died mysteriously.
Just checking.
Everything all right?
Yep, 2 corpses. Everything's fine.
Right. And getting back to that is, so then I didn't, but then when she sent me the link to the story, I'm like, oh, this has nothing to do with what I'm telling you right now. It's actually a case that didn't even happen in their jurisdictions.
Video depositions with key St. Bernard Sheriff's employees reveal they were made aware of Joey's death that morning, hours before the 911 call.
In the jurisdiction of these sheriff's deputies.
They was out of bounds.
Right. Now,
if you was the coach, you would, and you had the whistle, that'd be flag on the play.
Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
So we're going to play the beginning segment of part 1 of this investigation just to give you a groundwork of the story.
You spent your life providing for your family, and now you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma or an asbestos-related lung cancer.
If you have mesothelioma, contact Higgnz Lounge for a free consultation.
Fox 8 investigates a death labeled a drug overdose and the mysterious actions surrounding it. Here's part 1 of our investigative series, Strangled. Time never stops.
You can't change these watches.
The ticking brings hope to a heartbroken father. Hope for justice, because the timeline to the story law enforcement told just doesn't add up.
The story has to be told. The truth has to come out.
On August 5th, 2005, time stopped for Joey Georgousis.
Joey made some bad choices.
Weeks before Hurricane Katrina, police told Joe Georgousis his 23-year-old son died of a drug overdose inside a New Orleans home.
He was doing recreational drugs. He wasn't putting a needle in his arm, wasn't doing heroin, none of that.
But months later...
So we had several people attempt to tell us how he was murdered. When you're a father and someone tells you your son's being murdered by multiple people, you have to go look.
Georgousis sued the Orleans Parish coroner to reclassify his son's death, which had been called a drug overdose. From that suit, we've reviewed nearly 30 hours of video depositions with questions asked by Georgousis' attorney. We also inspected thousands of pages of documents related to the case and spoke to more than 20 people on and off the record. The information we reviewed reveals Joey's death might not have been an accidental overdose.
So, hey, first of all, if I could say, it's pretty cool that Lee Zorder did all this investigation of journalism, right? Like as far as him being a journalist and shedding light on something,
right? Because that right there would be a reason why he would magically commit suicide.
He believes that his injuries look more consistent with homicidal strangulations than suicide. However,
well, when we talk about people feeling protected, I guess he feels like he has the insulation of the news corporation around him to protect him from the powers that be, possibly,
right? Depending
on how deep this goes,
right? And he's not a conspiracy theorist, so they can't do him in like homeboy Bill Cooper.
A reporter from CNN and his little camera crew got in to Osama bin Laden's secret hideout and conducted an interview. If you don't believe me, tune into CNN. They're probably running it right now as I'm speaking. And if you believe it, you are one of the stupidest jerks that ever lived on the face of this earth. And whatever is going to happen that they're going to blame on Osama bin Laden, don't you even believe it.
He's not a conspiracy theorist yet.
Yeah, he's not one yet, right?
Yeah,
he hadn't been canceled yet.
Your history is history, so cancel me now, right?
But
is he? What is the general consensus on him from people in the New Orleans area?
I don't know.
Because I don't want to speak out of school.
I've never heard anything like, you know,
his reputation.
Yeah, he's got a solid reputation for.
He's been down here a long time.
I think he's madly respected because of these reports. But you know, by the commonwealth of the city, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know how long he's been with Fox? Or no?
I don't know.
Years. He's been there
15
for years. He might have even been there as long as the story dates back.
Yeah,
you know?
right before Katrina.
Right, as a young broadcaster or something.
We watched the 3-part series. If you go to Fox 8's website and watch it, if you're into murder mysteries.
For every mystery, there is someone somewhere who knows the truth. Perhaps that someone is watching. Perhaps it's you.
It does hit kind of close to home and close to our circles. So we'll see how it all comes out in the wash. I'm interested to what the federal investigation brings about.
Right. So
I guess I could say
at this point right now, it's technically ruled a overdose. All right. They even tried to get the overdose like cause of death overturned to say it was a murder, because what happened is
because there's substantial evidence proving that it was a murder.
So the pathologist, the person who performs the autopsy, found actually said that she did it, that there's a fracture in the neck.
Pathologist Samantha Huber performed the autopsy. In a deposition, Huber said as part of the autopsy, she fractured cartilage in Joey's neck area, something she claimed to routinely do.
Yeah, it's in the docuseries.
Right.
She says she cracks the thorax.
I'm talking about you fractured as a matter of routine.
I fractured at the time of autopsy the larynx, the thyroid cartilage.
And that it's not a common practice. Somebody who's worked for the institute, the medical institute for he did what, 41,000.
Right. He's like the most respected person or like pathologist in the New Orleans area.
He did 41,000 autopsies, and he said that this is not a common practice.
Right.
So she's covering up something, but how deep does it go?
When you're a father and someone tells you your son's being murdered by multiple people, you have to go look. The truth has to come out.
Well, she pleaded the fifth.
The forensic pathologist who performed the autopsy on Joey Jr., neither she nor her supervisor would speak to me. They took the fifth.
They put her in a deposition, and she pleaded the fifth in the questioning, because
which is very uncommon for someone of her position to do.
They have no right. You're a pathologist. Why? You have no reason. You have nothing to hide. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're not involved. You're not being treated as a suspect. But then when you plead the fifth, when I'm asking you a question about fracturing a thorax, because you're saying it's common practice, when you plead the fifth at that point, now you just turned yourself into a suspect.
The cover up is so deep with this shit. There's so many people involved. It's exhausting if you try to listen to all these people named in these depositions.
So we get into what happened. He was found dead based on the phone call from the girlfriend, which we stopped it on. She made this call roughly like 1:15 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
in the
1:30-ish, around 1:30. Bing.
Hot Pockets.
In the afternoon.
Then or before, because
before, right.
He'd been dead for like 4 or 5 hours.
The New Orleans police office shows up, and they pull up to a ranked official from the outside jurisdiction.
Video depositions with key St. Bernard Sheriff's employees reveal they were made aware of Joey's death that morning, hours before the 911 call.
The parish next to New Orleans, inside the house.
Is that how it happened, bro? Are you sure about that? Because I missed that, so I don't want to speak out of school.
That's what they were saying. That wasn't he supposedly there when the NOPD was there and he was taking pictures?
Officer Farrell, did you take any photographs as you were walking through the house? Okay.
I took a great deal of photographs.
That's what I heard the New Orleans guy say, but
Right.
I didn't hear all of his depositions. So
no. And because he said in one deputy, so this major, this person is a major. He's a ranked official in the sheriff's department, which is on the outskirts of New Orleans. Everyone knows that that's outside your jurisdiction. You have no business being there.
This is really offensive.
Showing up to a scene and being treated as an officer. Once you're outside your jurisdiction, technically you're a civilian.
especially when it comes to investigating crime scenes.
Yeah, he's
responding to calls.
So homeboy in NOPD sees that he's there taking pictures of the scene.
I took a great deal of photographs.
Like he's investigating the scene.
Because they wanted to find the source of the drugs that killed Joey.
That's what they claim.
Correct.
He knew about the scene before the NOPD knew about the scene and received notification. St. Bernard Sheriff's Office showed up to the crime scene before NOPD was even notified. The question is, to me, is were they there at the same time or were they there at two separate occasions?
Well, 911 was called at 1:15 on August 5th, 2005. Pete was sent out at 10:30 to 11.
Okay.
Kelly was called earlier than that.
Right.
How can that be possible?
I don't know.
I don't know, but they've already established that the phone call is a fake. It's an act.
Carasquillo says at 4 a.m. that morning, he and Joey snuffed 2 lines of cocaine. At about 8 a.m., Carasquillo said Vernon Cook and Dennis Brown arrived at the house. Carasquillo says Joey was fine as he walked into the bedroom with Brown and Cook. He told police he heard some commotion inside the room, which he believed was a drug deal went bad. At that time, he stated Vernon and Dennis came out of the room by themselves, at which time Vernon and Dennis stated to him and Jennifer Miller, "If you say anything about this, y'all will be next." Then he told police after Cook and Brown left the house, he and Jennifer checked on Joey in his room shortly after, which was about 8:30 a.m. He told police they found Joey face down in his pillow. They turned the body over and noticed Joey was not breathing. They decided not to call police because of the threats Vernon and Dennis made on their lives.
The facts seem to point out that he was dead around 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
And the 911 call wasn't made until 1 or so.
1:13 p.m.
1:13.
Right.
So the 911 call was an act.
It was possibly part of staging the scene to look like an overdose.
That's an act, right?
Right.
So the call from the person that she is definitely 100% acting in that phone call.
Her stories didn't add up neither. When she testified, she had to plead the fifth, and then she got caught with her foot in her mouth. Also,
Yeah, and 911 told her to perform CPR on.
On the 911 call, EMS gave Miller instructions to perform CPR.
And when the New Orleans officer showed up, see, the woman officer doesn't say anything about St. Bernard cops being there.
And minutes after the 911 call, Officer Jennifer Dupree arrived. We've recreated the scene to help show what Dupree claims she saw. When she walked into the living room, she says a friend of Joey's, Jerome Carasquillo, was sitting on the sofa.
I remember looking when you walked in, there was the kitchen right there. Stacks of dog food next to an island, and a white female was behind, just pointing to us where to go.
That was Jennifer Miller behind the kitchen island. She pointed Dupree to another room where she saw Joey's body. 3 people in 3 separate rooms, even though Jennifer Miller told the 911 operator moments earlier they were together.
Did it appear to you at that moment, Sergeant Dupree, that any person in the household had been attempting CPR in the last few minutes prior to your arrival?
No, because there was foam in his mouth. No.
Okay.
The woman officer just said she showed up on the scene. The dude, Jerome, is sitting on the sofa.
Right.
There's 3 people in the house. Jerome, the girlfriend, and Joey in the bed. not having CPR performed on him, and the girl standing in the kitchen, the girlfriend and pointing in the room.
He was supposedly found face down. They told her to roll him over on his back and perform.
Well, yeah, you can't perform CPR if somebody's face down.
The way they stated in an investigation, like, we told her to do two things and she did neither of them.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
And these are all facts, so we just try and stick to like the facts in the case.
Right. Even say in the gray area where I was telling you that they saw him there taking pictures.
I took a great deal of photographs.
Somewhere in between in this, not only were these deputies notified.
Do you recall receiving a phone call back in August 2005 regarding Joey Jagous's?
Yes.
Who called you?
Jack Stevenson.
In fact, a video deposition with another high-ranking sheriff detective reveals deputies from St. Bernard Parish went to Joey's New Orleans house hours before the 911 call.
I understand from your prior testimony that your best recollection is you received a call from Sheriff Stevens approximately 10:30 or 11 a.m. that morning?
Yes.
What time, and in that conversation, he asked you to go to Joey Jagous's residence and check out the situation. Is that correct?
He gave me the address and told me where it was, and go out there and see what had happened.
A high-ranking detective from St. Bernard left his jurisdiction and crossed parish lines without ever calling New Orleans police. He went to Joey's Lakeview house after learning of his death hours before the 911 call.
The allegation is that the sheriff of St. Bernard found out about it, sent them over there, and he's denying that. It's like, you called me. No, you called me. No, you called me. No, I don't know who called who. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing.
There's a lot of lies that they're trying to sort through, man. So if the feds are really involved now, you're gonna see if it all comes out in the wash, bro. You know,
you can't just assume that that's how he died just because they got a bottle of pills next to him. And that's what they're trying to perpetuate here.
But he had bruising. They said he had bruising on his face.
There was a struggle. He got his ass whooped.
And the pictures disappeared.
The family thinks that picture could help show Joey Jagous's had bruises on his face, the sign of a scuffle. Here's how we know the picture did exist. In an affidavit, attorney Pat Fanning says he saw the photo, but doesn't know where it ended up. A potential key piece of evidence disappeared.
Yes,
but some of the documents are still available, but there's no more pictures. So there's so many red flags, right? That there's some fuckery afoot.
Right. He said in the deposition he took anywhere from like 34 to 37 pictures.
I took a great deal of photographs. I think I took 34 or 37 pictures.
Yeah, Jack said I know Pete, and he's a very meticulous guy.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure they wrote any reports, but I know Pete DeFarra is a pretty meticulous guy. I mean, he probably kept personal notes.
Let's say that he got the phone call about Joey for whatever reason. Who called the sheriff? Who knows? Who made that phone call? He was sent, and say he sent those deputies over there to do whatever. Take pictures. I mean, he wanted to see it.
To cover something up, whether it was an overdose or a crime. They were covering something up because they weren't letting the authorities in the proper jurisdiction know, you know. And then what's really fucked up is Joey's pops was out of town the time when they did this shit too.
Did you talk to Joe? Jagous's mom?
I called.
Where was Joe?
He was in Las Vegas.
Okay. What did you tell Joe?
I told him I think I was the original notification that his son had passed away.
Well, did the pictures get turned over to the NOPD before they disappeared?
Yeah, because the NOPD speaks about seeing there's people in that department saying they seen the pictures and seen the bruising on his face.
Right.
Man.
And then they got put in evidence. And
you got to watch the video.
Right.
We don't want to butcher it up. They could only put so much into a 45. It was a 3-part, 15-minute docuseries. So 45 minutes. So there's hours of depositions.
I'm going to paint a story based on what I've heard. The sheriff was notified. He sent the deputies to the house, right, to do whatever they did. Your homeboy admitted he took pictures. Those pictures were confiscated. Those pictures ended up on file with the documents. Then they magically disappeared. What I'm trying to tell you is that's how much pull is coming from the sheriff's office to be able, not so much the office, but the person himself, because he is a successful business owner in New Orleans, in the most busiest district of the city. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, you could have influence in another jurisdiction.
Easy.
Easy.
You could be, he has, I mean, that's civilian power. That not so much even being sheriff, just knowing the right people inside the NOPD to obviously hire someone to go in there and dispose of that. The pathologist got caught lying. So it looks like she was told to keep quiet or else.
She's pleading the fifth like Kato Kaelin.
Or got paid. You understand? So there's some money that's been distributed under the table to keep people quiet, or some extortion under the table to keep people quiet. The more that these things just kind of look real gray and don't add up, it just makes murder sound a lot more believable.
I'm going to stop this line of questioning right here, Joe. Sure. Because this is really offensive.
There was even in part 2, one of them guys said that there was a fight and he OD'd.
In a video deposition, Brown actually admitted he heard a story that Joey was murdered, but couldn't recall who told him.
Have you heard from anyone, and again, just have you heard that Joey Georgousis was smothered? He did not that he overdosed, but has anyone told you, have you ever heard from anybody talk? Have you heard talk that he was smothered either by a plastic bag or a pillow or something like that?
I think I do kind of remember somebody saying that while he was ODing. I think that's what I heard.
There's a lot of people who were at that house, man. Sounds like they were having a house party to me. But the root of all this shit is drugs, man.
He was involved in the dope game in some kind of way.
Let this be a cautionary tale, man, of the pitfalls of life. When you get wrapped up in doing drugs and dealing drugs, you get involved in something that's a lot bigger than you and can consume you and take you out, whether that's from overdosing or from getting killed, man.
Wearing my conspiracy hat, bro. I mean, it sounds like this is just this one incident sounds like a small piece of a much larger scale problem.
This is really offensive.
There's a bigger hand at play, man,
right?
For sure, bro. So are we really gonna find? Is it really good? Is the true story? Because that's what his pops wants, man. His pops is going out on his deathbed fighting for the truth to what happened to his son. And the sheriff's stance is he can't accept that his son died of a drug overdose. But there's a lot of information that says it wasn't an overdose.
What we haven't even touched on yet is that the sheriff was like a brother to me, the father of the person who died, who overdosed, allegedly.
His exact words were, "Nobody's ever done more for me in my life than Joey Georgousis."
It's like a brother.
Right. And what about his son?
And Joey was a good friend of yours.
Like a member of the family.
And you can't tell us today who called you and told you the boy was dead.
If I could, I would have already told you.
Oh, it's like one of the family. So you don't remember who called you to tell you Joey's situation?
I don't know.
Nah. Damn. So it's either one of two things. You a self-centered piece of shit, or you're lying your ass off.
Now, I'm ready to walk out. If you want to call a judge, call a judge, but don't confuse me with somebody.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, and it sounds like there was a lot of things going on at the hospital, as if once you listen to the depositions, as far as separating people involved, and it sounds like there was everybody was trying to get their stories right, you know?
Right. Some unnecessary roughness.
You asked why we bust this.
You know, and then the deputy that was there, you know, not the major, the other guy, he was such a nice guy. I don't know how, you know, how did he get himself crossed up in that situation?
Which one?
Yes. Who called you? Jack Stevenson.
You need to go watch the full deposition from the sheriff, which is available on the Fox News website.
2 hours.
You're going to find out that there's a lot more to the story inside that deposition that, I mean, it just opens up a whole new avenue of questions that what the fuck happened over there? What the hell are they, what the fuck were they involved in?
No.
It's something to get lost in, man. If you're just bored, you want to kill some time and go down a rabbit hole of a small town conspiracy involving government officials.
Right.
And it's just a smaller representation of what goes on in state governments and federal governments and global organizations, man. It's just money and the power, bro. Money and the power.
You see one of those small town corruption stories, you know, like where the sheriff of the town is this, you know, there's a huge drug problem in the town, and come to find out the sheriff of the town is the head drug dealer, bringing it in and taking it out. You ever seen one of the movies? That's kind of what this reminds me of.
That almost sounds like some CIA orchestrated deep state social engineering shit, dog. Like for real, bro. Right. Hey, word, bro.
That he went real deep.
I went deep on y'all motherfuckers because I feel like it's what happened to me, man. Because I grew up here, man, and a lot of people who grew up here didn't fucking make it. So we fucking made it. I want to give you some shout out for making it. We coming up on 40. At least you fucking made it to 40
right.
If you made it to our age, because a lot of people didn't fucking make it, man.
All right. Well, I can kind of open up this avenue just a little bit deeper because I watched some of the Deposition, which it is not in the series. The sheriff's right-hand man. Okay. For people on a national level, do you remember, you know, who love football, you know who Darren Sharper is, right? The safety. That's in prison right now for raping women, drugging them up and raping them. Well, the sheriff's right-hand man's son is in prison for doing the same thing, being part of that operation with Darren Sharper.
The five-time Pro Bowler may have had partners in crime. A federal indictment alleges that he conspired with a former deputy sheriff to drug and rape women, and in New Orleans, he has a co-defendant accused of sexually assaulting some of the same women.
Sheriff's right-hand man had to give a deposition which didn't make the series because it's talked about in the sheriff's deposition. They asked him if he was selling drugs out of the blacksmith bar on Bourbon Street.
Did he discuss with you any of the questions we may have put to him?
Said specifically, questions that seemed to concern him or offensive, whether or not he was dealing dope out the blacksmith shop or he had anything to do with Flo Joey's death.
The names that was dropped in that deposition, there was a lot of people who know a lot. The answer's out there, bro. The answer's out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the dad knows exactly what happened to the T at this point, and he can't say it because it's under investigation because he spent $1 million on private investigation. He said it's hard to even believe it's reality.
The things that I learned shook me. There were things that people cannot explain. They can't explain them. It defies all logic.
Some of the things that I found out. And that could be on a much larger scale that has nothing to do with his son.
We're just going to have to stay tuned to see what the federal investigation, because the feds are involved, from what you told me.
A death which is now at the center of a federal investigation.
That's what they said in part 3. It says it's under federal investigation. I mean,
wow, 15 years ago, bro.
16. If you don't really get down to the nitty gritty within the first 24 hours, it just becomes a lot harder to solve. And then as time goes on, it just becomes that much harder. A hurricane, which 3 weeks after that, which devastated the city, destroyed a lot of documentation, destroyed a lot that can deprioritize a case like this.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's what happened too. And now like smoke is finally clearing. The smoke is cleared, and this just happened to stumble across an investigative reporter. And he's like, wow, what the fuck why this isn't talked about? For people who aren't from here, if you ever watched the documentary The Pharmacist on Netflix, that sheriff that's in there, this is the sheriff we're talking about.
The pharmacy was right up the street.
Pharmacy's around the corner. Those stories, for some reason, not saying that they have anything to do with each other, but they feel intertwined in a sense. And if the feds are involved, bro, like, and they haven't, you know, pushed the case and indicted anyone yet, they making sure everything's crossed before they do it. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to leave any stones unturned because it could completely blow an operation that they've been working on for a long time. And maybe that's why we don't have an arrest yet.
Will we get one?
Because
or will it just continue to be swept under the rug? I mean, am I a pessimist to think that? But that's kind of what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think the federal cover up is coming, and then we'll be left with questions and one, just like every other unsolved mystery, basically. You know,
right?
We could have our theories and we can make assumptions, but we won't know the truth, the actual truth. You know,
the deputy, like you said, the deputy said, "Oh, Jack called me. The sheriff called me."
Do you recall receiving a phone call back in August of 2005 regarding Georgia Gooses?
Yes. Who called you? Jack Stevenson.
Well, then in the deposition, the sheriff says, "I didn't call him. He called me."
How did you learn of Joey's death?
It was a call, and it was a deputy, and I'm not sure which one, but it was probably either Peter Farrer or Kelly Loga.
Yeah. And they were doing this,
right?
Point your finger at me.
You know, but this is great. This is great because you know what happens is this is the things that when you get interrogated by the police, it looked like the tables were turned on them because all the things that they say, you see, you done fucked up now. You done fucked up now. You know why you done
fucked up, right?
Right. You know why you done fucked up.
Now you see now, you done fucked up. You know that though.
Pink ass lips, nigga.
I see what I'm saying.
I thought.
No, so, you know what I'm saying? That you done fucked up now. You know that, don't you?
What I'm getting at is usually when they tell you that you done fucked up, you really didn't fuck up. They trying to make you fuck up because they got you. They think they got you in a corner, but as long as you as you stay calm and composed and keep to your story, they still, you know, they're trying to get you to admit it. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what, as long as you don't fess to it, they can't get you in that interrogation. That's what you see in these depositions.
There's holes in their stories,
right?
And the holes, you're gonna see the holes, bro. You're always gonna see the holes.
So and as a detective or whoever's investigating, their job is to fill the holes in, and they understand that. Don't fill any holes for them. That's the only thing you got when you get questioned. Don't fill any holes for them. Even if they do catch you in a lie, doesn't mean that they got you.
But do these people still have their connections, or will the agents that start investigating them actually take them to task and bring them to court, bro? That'll be heavy if that happens, bro, because a lot of people are going down or so, bro. There's no fall guy, you know what I'm saying?
No,
it's gonna be a whole organization, bro.
They already spilling beans in the deposition.
I'm serious about this stuff.
Just out the gate, what the fuck is the sheriff's office doing? You pull up as a cop, you find out the sheriff's office is there or was there, whatever. Like, what the fuck they were doing here? And why didn't they call us? Right there, right out the gate, them not making the phone call makes them accessory. If me and you did that,
we'd have been sitting in jail immediately.
This is really offensive.
And we'd be stuck in there until they find out that we're of no use. You know what I'm saying? Or we tell them what we want to hear, what they want to hear, and get it and reach a deal. That's above the law shit. That's like do as I say, not as I do. There's no reason why they shouldn't have been put into custody at all. Yeah, really. Right. So right there out the gate, the NOPD dropped the ball, but not holding them accountable.
Sometimes fucked up people get put in power, bro, and abuse power and don't look out for the best interests of the people, bro. You know, that's a fucked up person, bro.
Right.
You know,
and then so many times like people have OD'd, right? And other people were on the scene when they OD'd, freaked out, but then admitted after they freaked out, they didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least have some kind of story, you know, something. Like, somebody called you, somebody notified you to show up. You didn't just happen to call. I just wanted to go check on and see how he was doing. I ain't seen him in a while. We would just happen to be in the area, right? And none of that. Somebody called. Who the fuck called you to call the sheriff, or who called the sheriff?
Right. You should have been calling NOPD as soon as you crossed the parish line and said, "Look, I'm a sheriff from St. Bernard. There's a report of crime, and I need you to meet me at this address." Blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Didn't happen. Right then and there, you become a suspect, and it could have been any reason. Look, I honestly, I didn't think I was a nervous wreck. But being a deputy, you need to be. You're trained for that shit. So your heart's supposed to slow down when you get a call like that. You know what I'm saying? Not speed up. Not you're supposed to be able to stay calm in a state of panic. You're trained to do that. So you know the proper protocols because you deal with it every day. It's your life. It's your livelihood. It's your career. And the first thing you're supposed to do is it's out of your jurisdiction is call the proper authorities. Did they even go to the NOPD and sit in front of detectives at all?
Right. Did the NOPD take them to task and bring them in for questioning? Or did they just say, "Oh, okay, y'all just here taking pictures. Cool. Let me get out your way."
Detective, this is a crime scene.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, oh, y'all got this.
Like some Dukes of Hazzard.
Right.
Shit.
No, it's lunch for me anyway. Handle your business.
Some police academy.
Right.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I hate to laugh about this shit.
No, but it's true. It's like people were playing dumb from day one. They didn't start playing dumb when this came back into light, when they did these depositions in 2013.
Somebody might have called on had Katrina not had happened. So yeah, I mean, I think it just goes back to Katrina kind of washing this whole thing away.
Right.
You know?
And then the attorney general who was in charge of the case retired 6 months after starting the investigation.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Right.
It's like, damn, this dude retired midway through. Huh.
And now he's coming. Like, yeah, so you just put a whole conspiracy nut job on me. Is like the things that he might be saying right now. He was paid off handsomely to quit, to retire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all right, so this is going to be your story to make it look like you're suspicious, but you're going to lead down. You're going to put the crumbs in the wrong direction in your, you know what I'm saying? Just act like you think we did it. Could be. What's baffling is this was right under our nose the whole time and nobody really talked about it. You know what I'm saying? You would hear this in a bar room.
In fact, Miller allegedly told the same story at a New Orleans East adult nightclub, Visions.
So he hung around a different crowd of people than I was hanging around at the time.
I crossed his path a couple times. I knew him through a couple people. And, you know, we kicked it a few times on like some party shit, bro.
Right.
Like,
well, you know, I've never heard nobody I wasn't ever in a room with somebody, man, home, you know, because at that time people were ODing and dying. Fuck. It's like every week it felt like, you know what I'm saying? So I never did cross me to hear that so-and-so.
He was a social dude, bro. He was a cool dude. He had a good spirit, man. He was a fun guy, bro. Everybody liked him. He was always, you know, he liked to have fun, bro.
Right.
That's a symptom of living in a city like this,
Well,
man.
dude, and at that age, I mean, what, we 20, 22, 23.
Right. That's when I got out. 23. That's when I dipped. I retired. I couldn't go anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Like 22, 23 is the time where we was, you know, it's just young. You're at the early 20s. If you partying, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like to party, that's when you're having, that's when some of your craziest stories are gonna come from.
Yeah,
that
most
age.
people are coming out of college, you know. So I don't know. Drugs, man. All this is about drugs anyway. It's like how do you fucking stop it, bro? How do you get the cycle? Like as a parent, it's like how do you get your kids to not do drugs, bro? Because like, do you show them these stories? You know, do you show them the pitfalls? Do you know? That there's that channel Soft White Underbelly that does interviews with people who live on Skid Row, bro, who are just
Right.
like fucked up in terrible positions. Do you show that to kids and just be like, look, man, no drugs. Drugs are bad, you know, because at the end of the day, all these people could have said no, bro. As cheesy, I got to play both sides, you know what I'm saying? But like they told us to say no, bro. They came to our schools and told us to say no. Now, if that same cop who was telling you to say no was actually in charge of a fucking criminal organization that was moving drugs,
Right.
like how fucking crazy is that?
That's
bro?
and that's one of those deter the truth, you know, it helps deter you as being involved in any criminal organization. So and it gives you the power to keep yourself out of the hairs of the law when you are the law. If you step up in the community and spearhead leadership and you're telling everyone, you know, that you're gonna you're gonna be the one to protect and serve and create a zero tolerance policy on drugs and indict and arrest and you know, crack down the hammer of the law for small offenses because drugs are a problem in my community and they're bad, but then find out on the back end that you in the dope game.
You're evil, bro. You're straight evil, bro.
You're completely aware of the profits. It's like taking two candidates and investing in both of them, giving them both money to win. All right, your candidate's gonna win one way or the other. Which way you look at it. This is similar with what's going on. And reason why I'm saying that is because if you're creating a zero tolerance policy, but then you moving dope in, you're creating addicts to arrest and just you getting the money on both ends. You're getting the money for the drugs and you're getting the money for the motherfucking arrest and all the thousands of dollars that people have to spend on drug court and fucking probation and parole. So
you're being a tyrant, bro. You're keeping your foot on people's necks, you know, you're keeping people in poverty and you're keeping all the money and the power, so you're staying
right.
in the position on top of people, bro. I respect mobsters even more than because mobsters never really hid behind the law,
right?
You know what I'm saying? They were always their own organization, you know what I'm saying?
They paid them off.
They paid them off.
They were completely aware of what they were doing, but at the same time they have principle. They have a code. They have a principle. They have codes and principles, and if you break those principles, then they handle it they govern themselves.
These people don't have codes and principles, and what we have to show you here is somebody involved in his best friend, so says, death, and doesn't know how it happened, basically. Right. Where there's smoke, there's fire, man, you know? Don't believe everything they tell you, from the small level to the large level and everything in between. Still got to keep your eyes on the prize and stay focused, though, even though there's all these distractions like these stories. And,
absolutely. And look,
COVID
these things,
stories.
We would have never even talked about this today if it wasn't for it coming out into the limelight. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, we had no reason to bring this up. I didn't even know it was being investigated. You know, I hadn't heard about it.
Let's put it this way. Am I surprised of the situation? No. What I'm surprised and baffled at is that it made the news and it finally hit the public.
Mm-hmm. Darkness could only hide for so long, man. So if you're doing dog shit, bro, the light coming to get you, man. So remember that.
Yep. Yeah, and you think about all the nights too, like you gotta live with that shit. Not only do you have to watch it back, but then you gotta live with those situations, and you can never, you know, forgive yourself. Crime is seductive, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like money, fast money is seductive. Royalty is seductive. Any power is the most seducing thing on the planet. You can feel above the law, like no one can, untouchable. You know what I'm saying? And that's when a lot of people get caught up.
And I just, you know, I don't understand why money couldn't fix this. This was like deeper than money. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you got blood on your hands, bro? This wasn't something money could fucking fix, bro. Was an infraction so deep that the debt couldn't be repaid, dog? Like
right.
That's crazy to me, bro.
Right, because of life, you can't get life back.
We're talking about multimillionaires here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You can't get life back. And currency, money is made to be moved. It moves. It comes. It goes.
A $50,000 debt, $100,000 debt.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It might not have even been that much, bro.
I'm going on the high end. You feel me?
Yeah. I know why, and I see why you're going on the high end. But like you said, I mean, dude, you see shit like this happen over $100. You know, it happens, bro. Even if you regret it the next day, you still got to face those charges. Some of the things that I heard about this, you know, digging a little deeper than what was shown on the news, it's crazy because the hospital visit, like he was shipped to the hospital and they showed up at the hospital also. The people who really knew what happened showed up to play dumb to the family. You gotta have a gut to do that, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say heartless, but...
And I don't mean this is just being some people who was like, you know, that they didn't know. This is people that they called family, bro. Like my best friend.
Them the ones that'll do you the most dirty, man. The ones closest to you, bro. You know that. Don't get wrapped up in drug dealing and shady characters, you know? Fuck, stay away from that shit, man. Causes less damage to your circle as possible, man, you know?
Right.
Man,
treat others how you want to be treated. That's the golden rule. And as long as you follow,
you can roast a motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
You can tell him he looked like Kelly Logan from a deposition, you know?
This is really offensive. And if it wasn't for my respect and affection for Joe Jagusis, I wouldn't be sitting here taking this fucking shit.
You got to keep your homies in line, you know? Humble them out. Make sure they don't get keep their egos in check. But
it's the haircut, bro. It's just the haircut, bro.
You look like his damn doppelganger, bro. Up, I know it is. I ain't made it, but shout out 3090. We wearing our 3090
gear.
Yeah,
we got 3090 gear.
Rest in peace,
and
my
retrospect for
rest in peace, Joey.
The lifestyles of 3090.
Rest in peace to anybody who fell victim to the game, man. In the words of the legendary Pimp C.
Got to be real straight up and down, no special effects, man. You either all the way in it or leave it alone. And if you are in it, it's never too late to change, man. You can stop living that life and go do something better with yourself.